Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. We have a special guest tonight. We have Mike with King Vapor. Mike's going to be a vendor at the Emerald Empire Hempfest this summer, and July 18th to the 20th. So welcome, Mike. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
You bet. And Mike's going to tell us about his vapor products, which is really interesting. You see more and more of them on the market, and so it's good to actually be able to talk to somebody and authoritative. Not authoritative, but well, authority on it, I guess. So tell us how they work and what's the good and the bad of them. Or the good.
Alrighty. Well, vaporizers getting extreme popularity, especially a lot more ladies are seeming to do it too, because it's more of a cleaner tool to use. You got typical vaporizers, and then you have the vaporizers with the higher end tanks, as in for the dry herbs, CO2, standard waxes and stuff. But this one right here, which is your typical ceramic coil vaporizer, this is called lamp atomizer kit, and as simple as to do is you take your wax BHO, put it on top of the coil, you hit it a couple times, heat it up, it drops it into the ceramic, inside the ceramic or the wick system, and you vape it off of that.
How is cleaning? I always wondered about how do you clean them, or how are they to clean?
Well, depending on which unit you get, this one here with the dome, you use rubbing alcohol, you can clean it out. Mm-hmm. The coil for this one here, this is considered a ceramic coil. Mm-hmm. Once it's overused, you can actually take it out and replace it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then when you get into your dry vaporizers, which is this one right here. So this is a dry, and it also has a wax attachment. And for cleaning this one here, once you used up all your material inside of it, mm-hmm. you just simply just push it out.
Mm. Oh, okay.
Take your little cleaning brush, swab it out.
Right, okay. Oh, yeah.
It stays pretty clean. The only thing you need to change on this one here is your heating element, which you can just unscrew, buy a new one, put it back in, and simple as that. I mean, the system has got so simplistic mm-hmm. compared to what it used to be. Mm-hmm. There's really no hard way. I mean, it's not hard to clean at all.
And so, for people who don't understand the vaporizer actually, well, why don't you explain how it works? How does it actually create the vapor, and what's the good?
Well, so the misconception is the word vaporizer. There's several different versions of vaporizer. Vaporizers will either vaporize a whole unit to the point where there isn't anything to it, or it's going to burn it. This system here, which is designed for wax or BHO, heats it up to the point that it turns into a vaporizer of smoke. It'll fill in this chamber right here, and you inhale it at that point there. There's actual vaporizers out there that you put your material into it and actually changes the color from the green to a brownish, and it doesn't burn it. That is a true vaporizer to do it. This one here that's for the dry will actually burn just like if you were using it into a glass pipe or a regular pipe to do it. And these right here with the BHOs and stuff, they just heat it to a consistency that it burns off.
So now this unit in the black box here, you're saying was an attachment for that. Now you can use it to use. You can vaporize raw herb with this unit hooked to that. You say, or what?
Correct. So this is what I showed out here. So
okay.
This is the one that comes into what the Cloud Tank M3 does. It's the best dry one out there, and it actually has an attachment for wax also. So you get two dries and a wax into it, and these all work on any battery that has a 510 thread.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's great, and they're very portable, and they're not an odor problem either.
No, the odor is pretty lax to it, and you can actually even buy flavor drops, mm-hmm. and you'll take the flavor drops and you'll put it on there, and it masks the smells, and it gives you a little fruity taste. Some mm-hmm. people like a little coffee taste or sweetness to it. Mm-hmm. It's similar to the e-cigarette e-juice, but it doesn't have the nicotine in it. What makes this popular is it is very portable. Instead of using, a lot of people know as a nail that they'll put on top of their water pipe, and they heat it with a torch. You just don't need to carry that torch around with you, which is convenient. No one likes carrying a torch in their car.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's and like we were saying, it's a lot healthier for you. You're not bringing in the carcinogens, the carbon monoxide. You're not doing any of that, and that's why it's healthy, especially for patients. That way, they can take it they can take it by inhaling it, but they don't have the bad part of characteristics of that. So, yeah, that's incredible. And of course, well, you're meeting all kinds of walks of life, patients, professional people, everything.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's like comparing to the big computer that of the old day. Now everyone has the laptops. We had the old vaporizers that would sit on your table, and you couldn't take them anywhere. And now it's into a portable systems.
Oh, yeah.
You can get them into the fancy ones. You can get. We have these with skulls on it. You can get hand blown pieces and stuff like that. It's really fun too, and when you can even change the color of your glass, which is really neat. At night when you light it up, the ceramic gets really bright and shows it off.
That's incredible. And you got you got a built-in recharger. I mean, not built. I don't mean a built-in, but I'm saying you got a charger here for charging the unit.
The way that works is what also a lot of people don't realize is these actually have a child safety feature to them. So if you take any of the style batteries and you push it 5 times real quick, it'll turn it off. So any kids that might get their hands onto it or anything like that, they're not going to be able to use it. And it's also a safety feature too, because the higher end units, they'll shut themselves off after 10 seconds, and it's all inside the button. And then, like you said, the simplicity, it's a USB cord. This goes right onto it. You could you can charge it on your computer, you can charge it in your car, charge it at home in a wall charger. Very universal. So with one thing that I want to bring up to is one of the reasons why I wanted to come on the show and stuff is battery safety. For any of the people out there that are looking at getting into the vaporizers and stuff, is there is a battery safety into it, and the low grade batteries, you get what you pay for, and they've had some overheating. There's no specific brand, no style that you can tell, and the awareness of going through and knowing. And the simplest way of doing it is when you get a battery, if you pay for too little of it or the weight is too light, then typically it's lower end battery.
Well, yeah, and what I noticed about it when you screwed it into that battery charger, that's a neat thing too, because if you're on a charger, especially I'm thinking in a car, bouncing around, it's not going to come unhooked. I like that feature. That's great. Good positive connection.
Yep.
Yeah, that's...
And it'll actually work with a lot of different units that you have out there too. This will fit majority of the units that you get out there. With my products, all of my tanks and stuff fit all of my batteries.
Okay, yeah. Now, how much, battery life, I don't mean a duration, but I mean, how often would you have to change a battery? I'm asking.
So, you have,
depends how many times you use it.
I mean, that's, so this is what comes in this kit right here, which is your typical lamp atomizer kits. They're 650 batteries. So what that means is a 4 to 6 hour push button times. In the vaping world, that's, unless you do a lot, I guess, that's about a week's worth before you got to charge it. Then you have a 900, and what you can tell is just there's a height difference to it, and then there's 1100. So every increment up, you add 2 hours to push button time. So I mean, this one here is 46. This is a 6 to 8, and so on and so forth. They basically go up to 1300s, but then you get a 1300 and they don't really fit into kits, or not. You're starting to get out of that practical portable mode.
Oh yeah. Interesting. I never had any interest in one before, but now I'm thinking that may not be a bad idea, especially with the raw. I prefer. I just like my green herb, you know. That's why I was interested in the, as you mentioned, what do you call that? The dry chamber?
Yep, the cloud tank. And see, with me is, I quit smoking. So with me quitting smoking, I don't like the dry as much anymore. So I'm more into the wax. So it suits that purpose to it.
Of course, I've never tried the wax, so I guess I can't talk and say I don't like. I never even tried it.
I say be careful, because they say once you go wax, you never go back.
Yeah, I suppose so. So what's the process of how do you get it to the wax stage to use it? I mean, what's the process?
So, you know, I'm not an expert when it comes to it. So you have a CO2 that's purged with the CO2, and then a lot of it is just a trim. So we all know in Colorado, when they legalized, they had shortage on products, and a lot of it was the trim. And then it's a press situation. But your concentration level of your wax THC is higher than your dry. So I think you get into the 100, 110 THC levels compared to with the dry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Huh.
I'll just say it's a different high than if you're used to than a dry. It's a little bit more intense, and it's kind of like an edible where it sneaks up on you.
Oh yeah. Okay, I can see that. Oh yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's yeah, that's very fascinating. So yeah, it's being a hot thing. So you can see that at the Emerald Empire Hempfest, and Mike will be there. The first time that Mike's been with us, which we're looking forward to it. It's it's right on the river, beautiful park.
Yeah, I can't wait.
A lot of shade. It's we've got a band lineup already, and so yeah, that's incredible. And if you ever have any questions, Mike could be the one to talk to, because he's got the experiences with it and show you how it works and maybe which way to go. So basically, you got 2 units. You're saying then, and this is more of a portable unit, so to speak. Then.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have a really big line. These are the primary sellers and stuff. We also carry a unit right there. This one here is for CO2, and if I don't run out of time here, you also have a CO2. A lot of people are used to the pre-fills and stuff like that. We also have a kit that's just like this, but people use it for CO2. And there's even, I mean, you even get into variable voltages. Wow. It gets all saying, I'll have everything at this year's show, and if anyone gets any questions or anything like that, I'm more than happy to help. One of the biggest things in this industry is customer service, and this is a new industry, so people are a little scared to get into
Vape Central.
Oh yeah, so this is the Vape Central. This is my e-cigarette company too, by the way.
Okay, all right.
So I have an e-cigarette company.
So King Vapor, and check it out. The website will be on the screen, and appreciate coming, Mike. And
Thank you.
We'll be talking again, and definitely same at the Hempfest. So we'll be right back.
If you're an adult who enjoys a good beer, there's a similar product you might want to know about. One without all the calories and serious health problems. Less toxic so it doesn't cause hangovers or overdose deaths, and it's not linked to violence or reckless behavior. Marijuana. Less harmful than alcohol, and time to treat it that way. For more information, visit marijuanaissafer.org.
Welcome back to the second half of Eugene Cannabis TV.
You bet, and we're back, and I did some announcements I want to run real quick. Last week I forgot to mention our friend Jim Grieg, and I definitely want to mention Jim today. Jim's not doing real well. He's always been bedridden with arthritis, and now he's cancer, so it's not looking real good for him. So we always Jim is a voter power board member. He was an ASA representative and played a very big part in getting the medical marijuana movement behind Ellen Rosenblum, who is our Attorney General, Oregon Attorney General today, and he was instrumental in getting her into office. So send your prayers, your thoughts, good wishes, or whatever works for you, and all the best for Jim. Celebrate Hemp, the event coming up June 7th. June 7th. This is part of the Hemp History Week that we wanted to celebrate, along with, they didn't want to do an official celebration, so we're going to do our own celebration, and we're calling it Celebrate Hemp. We'll be talking about it as time and develops, but that's on June 7th, and we're going to be on the Wayne Morris Free Speech Plaza. It'll be from 11 to 2 o'clock. So if anyone would like to help work on that, let us know. And anyway, let's jump into the editorial. Now, the Register Guard had an editorial on the 16th of May titled, "Too Stoned to Drive? Pot impairment standards elude researchers." One of the issues Oregon voters will want to think about if, as expected, they're asked at the November general election to legalize the recreational use of marijuana is whether they want to share the road with drivers who are high on pot. Some of these drivers are already out there, legal users of medical marijuana, and others using the drug illegally. But legalizing recreational marijuana would increase their numbers. It's already happening in Colorado and Washington, the only two states thus far to approve the recreational use of the drug. Beyond the issue of whether to expand the legal consumption of marijuana is another, more complicated issue: how to tell whether someone is driving while stoned. Many traffic safety advocates urge treating driving while drugged the same as driving while drunk, but there are several problems with that. The first is that there's no standardized test that can prove conclusively that a marijuana user is driving impaired. That could be determined for someone who's been drinking by a universally accepted blood alcohol test. When the level of alcohol in the blood reaches 0.08%, most states say the driver is drunk and subject to arrest, prosecution, conviction, and punishment. In many cases, a simple breathalyzer test at a traffic stop can establish whether someone is driving impaired. To determine whether a person is under the influence of THC, the ingredient in marijuana that produces the high, a urine or blood or urine sample has to be taken and sent to a laboratory for analysis. But there's another problem. The human body metabolizes THC much more slowly than it metabolizes alcohol, which means the drug can be detected in the blood or urine days, weeks, or even longer after it's ingested.
Up to 30 days.
Exactly. Thus, it's possible that someone suspected of driving while stoned may have THC in their system but not be impaired at all. Further complicating the issue is that the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that law enforcement officers must obtain a court-issued warrant before taking a sample of a person's blood. Then finally, there's the question of how much is too much. How much THC does it take, for example, to slow a person's reaction time, a critical element in driving? Medical marijuana is legal in 26 states, including Oregon, but only 6 states have set legal limits for THC consumption in the blood, and now all of them are the same. 13 states passed zero tolerance laws, but the state Supreme Court in Arizona threw out its law. Colorado and Washington say 5 nanograms per milliliter of blood, 5 parts per million, is sufficient to establish impairment.
But there's no scientific tests that prove that that's true.
That's right. It goes on to say here, but a study in Sweden showed that at that level, 90% of impaired driving cases would be missed. The lack of consensus is how to scientifically determine whether a person is high on pot, and disagreement on what level of THC in the blood causes impairment are obstacles to coming up with a workable way to deal with what's becoming a growing threat on our highways. One study found that marijuana-related traffic accidents in the United States tripled over the past decade. Now, that's something that we have to be careful of, because they talk about marijuana-impaired traffic deaths and traffic accidents, and all they're saying is that the person was found to have marijuana in their system. It doesn't mean that. It just got through saying that it doesn't necessarily impaired if they got the marijuana in their system. And yet if it shows that they're in their system, then they put it down in statistics as it's a marijuana-related accident. So if
they're a medical marijuana patient, they could have smoked it the same day. It could have been in several days ago.
That's right. And so, although researchers disagree on many aspects of the issue, There's agreement on one thing. Driving while stoned doubles the risk of having an accident. Driving drunk is said to be 10 times worse. It's a thorny issue that needs to be addressed sooner or later, and as with most laws, there needs to be a balance between protecting individuals' rights and protecting society. Dutch researcher Jan Ramerks put it statistically in an interview with the Washington Post when he said, "Who should the law serve, the individual or the population?" So that's the registered guard. Another editorial, they usually have it wrong. They're leaning that way again. They're not as bad as they have been in the past.
They got part of it right.
Exactly. So here's an article. This is 2 years old, but it's relevant to what we're talking about. So I wanted to bring this in, and I won't read the whole thing. I just wanted to cover it quickly. But the title is "Marijuana Users Are Safer Drivers Than Non-Marijuana Users, New Study Shows." This was on on the website PR Web. That's the letters PRWEB, prweb.com. It's in a recent study. ForAutoInsuranceQuote.com, a national quote provider for online car insurance quotes, cites a strong correlation between traffic-related accidents and marijuana use. The study, which looks at statistics regarding accidents, traffic violations, and insurance prices, seeks to dispel the thought that driving while stoned is dangerous. In the study, ForAutoInsuranceQuote.com points out that the only significant effect that marijuana has on operating a motor vehicle is slower driving. In fact, a recent study shows that the use of medical marijuana has caused traffic-related fatalities to drop by up to 9% in states that have legalized its use. This study, titled "Medical Marijuana Laws, Traffic Fatalities, and Alcohol Consumption," conducted by Mark Anderson and Daniel Rees in November 2011, shows that increased marijuana use among adults has decreased alcohol-related traffic deaths in said states. This study provides solid evidence that marijuana is not only a safe substitute for alcohol, but it also makes for more safer drivers. So, anyway, there's a little information going the other way. So, what do you got for us now, Jeremy?
Oregon legalization drive rents 20 billboards across the state. Activists in Oregon have rented 20 billboards in prominent positions across the state in support of their campaign to end criminal penalties for cannabis. The billboards found in Portland, Eugene, Beaverton, Roseburg, and Salem carry the messages "Help End Marijuana Prohibition" or "Prohibition is the problem, hemp is the answer." Of course, ending prohibition is the goal, but energizing Oregon and showing a solid outreach and grassroots effort is the key, said activist Michael Baccarat of the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, which is behind Initiatives 21 and 22. Oregon and 214 Initiative 21 is a constitutional amendment to end prohibition and stop imposing criminal penalties for marijuana. It needs 116,284 valid registered voter signatures by July 3rd to qualify for the November 2014 ballot. Initiative 22 is a proposed statute to regulate and tax marijuana and allow farmers to grow hemp for fuel, fiber, and food. It needs 87,213 valid registered Oregon voter signatures to qualify for the November ballot. These measures are going to be on the ballot, says Chief Petitioner Paul Stanford. Prohibition does not work. Filling our jails with non-violent and marijuana prisoners is a waste of public resources and people's future. We will end prohibition and criminal penalties for marijuana, Stanford says. Our initiatives are designed to move Oregon ahead of both Washington and Colorado, so Oregon's economy can reap the benefits of these rapidly growing industries sooner rather than later. Oregon's economy will benefit from the end of the prohibition of hemp and cannabis, Stanford says.
So that's great, and that's Paul Stanford, the chief petitioner of 21 and 22. And also, he put up the, we have 4 of those billboards right here in the Eugene area. I've been assigned the task to go around and get pictures of them, which I haven't got to yet, but hopefully tomorrow. So I'll have those, and we'll put them on the show. And but the one we are showing is came out of Portland, so at least you get an idea of what one of them looks like. And we're running out of time here. I don't think we'll quite get the whole article, the next one in, but go ahead and start on the Colorado on this one.
Colorado, marijuana sales up, crime down. When Colorado made history by becoming one of the first 2 states to legalize marijuana, opponents claimed this would cause an increase in crime, but as legal states of sales of cannabis have increased, crime has gone down in the state.
Yeah, it says, meanwhile, it says, compared to the same time last year, let's see, same period, 2013 and 14, it's seen an overall reduction in both violent and property crimes in Denver since marijuana legalization. Notable reductions were seen in homicide, down by more than 52%. So anyway, that's been shown over and over again that when marijuana is legalized, crime goes down, all crime goes down. So anyway, we're got into the show. We appreciate you being here for the special edition of the Eugene Cannabis TV, and we'll see you next week. We'll have more information and more news. So we'll see you then. Thank you, Jeremy.